And longtime rap music mogul James Prince decided to celebrate in a major way.
If I lost everything that I possess, own, or have material-wise, this guy killed all of those people. I brought the investigating report.
Duke the jeweler wasn't just another guy flashing diamonds. He was a well-known Chicago jeweler trusted by some of hip-hop's biggest names. In 2020, he traveled to Houston for a Lil Boosie concert and pool party, expecting business as usual and good energy. While he was in the city, he stopped by a dice game hosted by J. Prince Jr., a move that immediately placed him among Houston's elite. Pictures and clips from that night show Duke standing next to J. Prince Jr., calm, confident, and clearly up on the table. Stacks were out, laughs were flowing, and Duke moved like someone who felt completely untouchable. But listen to this. Duke wasn't rolling deep. No security, no crew, just him, trusting that his connection to Rap-A-Lot meant protection came with the territory. Less than 24 hours later, after leaving Boosie's event, Duke the jeweler was robbed of his jewelry and shot to death. Police labeled it a robbery gone wrong, suggesting someone followed him from Chicago or that a local crew spotted an easy target. But the streets weren't quick to accept that explanation. People started questioning why Duke felt comfortable moving alone to Houston of all places. Did he believe that checking in with J. Prince Jr. guaranteed safety? And if that's true, where was that protection when it actually mattered? J. Prince Jr. denied any involvement, saying he didn't even know Duke was a jeweler until after he died. He also claimed the dice game Duke attended didn't happen the same night as the shooting. But by then, public opinion had already connected the dots. Another death, another Houston situation, another name tied back to the Prince circle. And it gets even darker. This story overlaps with a disturbing case involving the same corrupt DEA agents who once targeted Rap-A-Lot. Back in 1997, Earl Perry was shot and killed during a dice game in Houston's 5th Ward. A man named Lamar Burks was convicted and sentenced to 70 years in prison. Burks has always maintained he wasn't even present. He says he was in Louisiana attending his sister's wedding when the shooting happened. The case was built by DEA agents Chad Scott and Jack Schumacher, the same pair obsessed with taking down Rap-A-Lot. They pushed a narrative claiming Burks was hired by J. Prince to silence witnesses. Hold up, because this is where everything falls apart. In 2019, after Chad Scott was convicted for corruption, 2 witnesses suddenly recanted their testimony. One admitted Scott pressured him to lie. Another man, Clayton Brown, confessed that he and someone else were the real shooters. He swore Lamar Burks was never there. Brown said he finally spoke up because the corrupt agent was gone and fear no longer controlled him. Despite all of that, Burks is still locked up. And Jack Schumacher? He's still employed as a chief detective. Let that sink in. Then we arrive at the most high-profile tragedy of all, Takeoff from Migos. November 1st, 2022, Houston, Texas. What was supposed to be a celebration turned into a nightmare. Takeoff and Quavo were in town for Jazz Prince Day, honoring J. Prince's son. They weren't outsiders, they were guests, friends, protected, or so they believed. The night ended at a bowling alley alongside Jazz Prince Jr., Mike Prince, and Rap-A-Lot affiliates. According to the Prince family, everything was calm at first. Then the dice game started, and that's where the story split. The Princes claim Willie Bland from Quavo's camp sparked the altercation. They say he struck someone with a gun, setting off chaos. Shots rang out, Takeoff was hit, and he died on the floor. But here's what sent the internet into a frenzy. Footage surfaced showing J. Prince Jr. walking past Takeoff's body. No urgency, no visible panic, just movement. The family later claimed he was washing blood off his hands and that Mike Prince stayed to help. They said they protected Quavo afterward and even took him to the hospital. But the public wasn't convinced. Because if checking in equals safety, how did Takeoff die under their watch? Then came the most explosive detail. Willie Bland told police that Jazz Prince provided the gun used that night. Read that again. The alleged weapon came from inside their own circle. J. Prince tried to spin it, saying that proved they weren't involved, but that missed the point entirely. someone they hosted, armed with their weapon, triggered the chain of events that killed Takeoff. November 1st, 2022. A rising star in hip-hop is discovered lifeless in a Houston parking lot. His name is Takeoff of Migos. The incident unfolded outside a bowling alley with people present who were connected to one of the most feared families in rap history. Almost instantly, the internet locked on to one chilling question. How does something like this happen when he was supposedly under the Prince family's protection? But hold up, because it gets even stranger. This wasn't the first time someone lost their life after crossing paths with Jay Prince and his sons in Houston. And it wasn't the first time artists walked away with thinner wallets after dealing with Houston's so-called gatekeepers. For over 40 years, Jay Prince built an empire stretching from Rap-A-Lot Records to boxing management, from cattle ranches to the darkest corners of the music business. But behind the polished image and motivational talk sits a much heavier shadow. We're talking about a family accused of turning checking in into a multi-million-dollar pressure system, a family repeatedly linked by circumstance to deadly outcomes, a family the DEA never managed to take down. Today, we're pulling the curtain back on hip-hop's most dangerous dynasty. We're breaking down how Jay Prince and his sons allegedly extracted millions from artists, why their name keeps surfacing near tragedy, and why even superstar rappers stay silent. Lock in, because what you're about to hear will permanently change how you see Houston's rap scene. This is the untold story of rap's most feared family. Let's get into it. But before we talk accusations, bodies, and alleged extortion, you need to understand who Jay Prince really is and how this power structure was built. James Prince was born in 1965 in Houston's Fifth Ward, a neighborhood so violent it earned the nickname the Bloody Nickel. We're talking about one of the most dangerous and impoverished areas in Texas history. By the 1970s, the Fifth Ward led Houston in shootings, stabbings, and murders. The average yearly income sat around $8,500, while the national average was nearly $67,000. That's well over 150% below the poverty line, fam. Jay Prince claims his journey started clean, cutting grass at 7, working as a bank teller, and opening Smith Auto Sales in 1986. On paper, it reads like a classic American dream, a young black man grinding his way out of the trenches with discipline and hustle. But listen closely, the story doesn't stay clean. Jay Prince has openly admitted in interviews and in his book, The Art and Science of Respect, that he was deeply connected to the streets during that same period. He's hinted at dealing and street activity without ever fully denying it. He even claims the turning point came when he discovered his own mother had become addicted to crack, possibly connected to his own supply. Let that sink in. In 1987, Jay Prince officially launched Rap-A-Lot Records. He said it was to keep his younger brother, Sir Rap-A-Lot, out of trouble, building a studio above his car lot. But let's be real, this wasn't just about family. Jay Prince recognized an opening the industry ignored. In the late 80s, Southern hip-hop barely existed in the mainstream. New York ran everything with Run DMC and LL Cool J. The West Coast was rising with NWA, but the South, invisible. Jay Prince flipped that narrative. He formed the Ghetto Boys with Bushwick Bill, Willie D, and a rapper he discovered in a parking lot, Scarface. And here's where his cold business instincts showed early. When Scarface outperformed his own brother, family loyalty took a back seat to profit. Blood didn't beat business. Albums like Grip It and We Can't Be Stopped shook the industry. Violent, controversial, impossible to ignore. Houston was officially on the map. But success brought attention, and law enforcement came knocking. This is where the story turns dark. In 1988, the DEA launched a federal investigation into Jay Prince and Rap-A-Lot Records. Not local cops, feds. The same agency that dismantled international cartels. Authorities believed Rap-A-Lot was a front for laundering drug money, similar to what BMF would later become, and they claimed to have proof. In 1992, an El Camino linked to Smith Auto Sales was stopped near El Paso. Inside, officers found a hidden compartment holding 76 kilograms of cocaine, over 160 pounds. Street value, millions. 2 men were arrested and the investigation exploded. Between 1988 and 1999, Jay Prince was arrested 5 times. 5 times. And here's the unbelievable part. He was never convicted, not once. In one incident, police claimed they found a pill in his car. First, it was ecstasy, then Quaaludes, then Valium. Reports contradicted themselves, even stating the pill was found in the police vehicle instead. Protests erupted outside HPD headquarters. Busloads of supporters showed up, claiming he was being framed and racially targeted. Charges were dropped. The message was clear. Jay Prince had influence, resources, and protection. The DEA didn't stop. 2 agents, Chad Scott and Jack Schumacher, spent more than a decade trying to bring him down. They surveilled, stopped, and harassed anyone tied to Rap-A-Lot. Then suddenly, in 2000, the entire investigation vanished. Attorney General Janet Reno shut it down. Why? Rumors flew. Political pressure, donations, and a letter from Congresswoman Maxine Waters alleging racial profiling. Years later, one of those DEA agents was convicted of corruption, perjury, and falsifying records, the same agent who chased Jay Prince relentlessly. So what's the truth? Was Jay Prince innocent or simply untouchable? Either way, one thing is undeniable. He beat the federal government. And if the feds couldn't touch him, what chance did rappers have? That brings us to checking in. Depending who you ask, it's either respect or extortion. Artists arriving in Houston are expected to contact the Prince family, meet them, move correctly. Jay Prince says it's about relationships and safety, but critics point to a pattern. Problems arise, then solutions conveniently appear, offered by the same people. NBA YoungBoy's Houston robbery raised eyebrows, the burglars' new layouts, access points, and valuables. Then Jay Prince appeared online, claiming he recovered everything. YoungBoy didn't buy it. He told him to stay out of it. That's the cycle people describe. Pressure first, rescue second. Artists end up indebted, obliged, controlled. Security, shows, favors, appearances, all feeding the Prince machine. Industry figures like Chris Gotti described meetings that felt more like intimidation than networking. Guns on the wall, power on display. And it worked. Deals followed, fear followed. For 40 decades, the system ran quietly. Then the deaths started piling up. No accusations, just patterns. Meetings with the princes, then tragedy. And that's why so many artists stay quiet. Because when money, power, fear, and history collide, speaking up feels dangerous. And that's the part of the story the industry still refuses to fully confront. And instead of accountability, Jay Prince turned his anger towards Offset. He issued a public warning, a grieving family member. That wasn't guidance, that was pressure. Duke the Jeweler, Earl Perry, Takeoff. 3 deaths, 1 city, 1 recurring name. Maybe it's a coincidence. Maybe it's street politics. Or maybe the protection being sold isn't protection at all, just leverage. Because when you strip everything down, this isn't about respect. It's about money. Fear pays. Intimidation scales. If you're looking for the truth the industry refuses to say out loud, you already know where you are. This is Rap Uncovered, and the streets are always watching. Nobody steps forward, so there's no united resistance. Nobody presses charges, so accountability never kicks in. And nobody inside the industry challenges him, which lets his influence keep expanding. Look at Offset right now. After Takeoff's passing, he's one of the only voices publicly pushing back against Jay Prince's version of events. Jay Prince went on the $1 Million Worth of Game podcast and dropped thinly veiled warnings aimed straight at Offset. Offset didn't back down. He responded by pointing out contradictions on Instagram. Instantly, the hip-hop world panicked about his safety. Not because Offset did anything reckless, but because everyone understands what usually happens when someone opposes Jay Prince. False reports even circulated claiming Offset was placed in protective custody and that Jay Prince had been arrested for threatening him. That wasn't true, but the fact that people believed it proves how real the fear is. An Atlanta OG publicly warned artists to stop checking in with Jay Prince Jr. or anyone like him in Houston. Fake OGs don't care about your safety, he said. Get real security. Don't let them convince you someone's waiting on you or they've got you covered. He called it all caps. He said that's exactly how situations spiral into tragedies like Takeoff's, dying over nonsense that never should have happened. Let that sink in. An OG from another city openly warns artists not to trust the Prince family's protection. And notice, he didn't even use his full name. He stayed cautious. Because here's the ugly reality. The music industry enables J. Prince. Labels know about the check-in culture. They know artists feel pressured, but they stay silent because J. Prince holds clout, history, and 4 decades of influence. Promoters booking Houston shows deal with the Prince family quietly to avoid complications. Other artists know the truth but choose silence so they don't become targets. Law enforcement tried. Look at the DEA investigation, but it collapsed. The agents, Chad Scott and Jack Schumacher, were corrupt. The case was shut down at the highest level, and that sends a message to Houston police. J. Prince is untouchable. The system reinforces itself. J. Prince operates on reputation and fear. The industry protects him by staying quiet. Artists check in, they pay homage, they give money and respect, not out of admiration, but out of fear of what might happen otherwise. Now let's follow the money and examine how J. Prince built a legitimate empire on what critics say are questionable foundations. At its peak, Rap-A-Lot Records was a dominant independent powerhouse. The roster included the Ghetto Boys, Scarface, Bun B, Pimp C, Devin the Dude, Zero, Trey the Truth, and more. Gold plaques, platinum records, millions from albums, tours, merch, and streams. But over the past decade, Rap-A-Lot hasn't delivered major hits. Attempts with YBN Nymir and NBA Youngboy didn't stick. The label mostly survives on legacy catalog revenue. So the question becomes, if Fresh Money slowed down, where is J. Prince's wealth really coming from? That question fuels the extortion rumors. He owns a 1,100-acre ranch outside Houston, raising Black Angus cattle and selling hay. He claims the hay alone brings in $200K a year. Add cattle, maybe another $200K. Respectable, but nowhere near enough to sustain his lifestyle and reach. He managed elite boxers like Floyd Mayweather Jr., Andre Ward, and Teofimo Lopez. Boxing management pays well, 10 to 33% of purses. Managing Floyd alone brought massive income, but even that chapter has slowed down. He launched businesses like strap condoms and real estate ventures, and even purchased a private island. The wealth is visible, but it still doesn't fully explain the level of control. That's where the allegations of protection money and behind-the-scenes pressure enter the conversation. His most powerful asset? The Mob Ties brand, movement of bosses together in elevated structure. J. Prince positioned it as the heartbeat of Houston hip-hop. Artists wear the merch, promoters use the name. It became cultural currency, and J. Prince monetized it brilliantly. Events, clothing, affiliations. In hip-hop, weight equals money, but it's also fear-based. If you're mob ties, you're protected. If you're not, you're exposed. That's not clean business. That's a protection system dressed up as branding. And that's how the machine keeps running.